she's just amazing. Welcome to the Great Reboot. I'm Tori Ryden. Well, it's been more than 4.5 months since COVID has placed many of us in lockdown. And during that period of time, although many have been frustrated by staying inside and when they do step outside, being really careful, wearing masks and sometimes gloves, it's really been a beneficial time for artists and musicians. Now, while they can't perform in concerts in the traditional style, they're finding different ways to create and to share their music and their artwork. And one such artist is our guest here on the Great Reboot. I'm so thrilled to have Pete Kilpatrick joining us. Pete, thanks for joining us on the Great Reboot. So good to have you here, my friend.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is a blast.
So Pete is an independent singer-songwriter, and you've very likely heard his music. If not in Maine, then he actually, one of his songs was, I believe, was it the theme song, Pete, for a show that aired on ABC, maybe?
I've been lucky enough to have about 15 of my songs on different network shows like The Office and Parks and Rec, shows like that. Most recently, the soap opera The Young and The Restless. So I've officially made it as a musician.
Okay, wait. So did they feature you too on The Young and the Restless? I'm sorry that I don't watch.
Oh no, that's okay.
Soap opera.
Yeah, I haven't seen the episode yet, but I've gotten paid for it, so that's the most important thing.
Yes, when you have a family, that is the most important thing. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, I think so. It's funny to kind of see what part of the show is like they will choose to use my songs, but a lot of times it'll be a scene maybe where people are at a bar and they're listening to music in the background, and one of my songs will be playing. So it's pretty cool. Kind of fun.
That's pretty neat to be flipping around on the channel and then all of a sudden, oh, it's me. I love it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. So it's interesting to see how they use it from my perspective of how I wrote the song and what the song's about, to see the context of where they put it. And
so Pete, you'll know of Pete Kilpatrick. It's the Pete Kilpatrick Band. He and his band have been together for a very long time. I can't believe I'm saying that because I knew you when you were a punky child. Yeah. And his work is, it's really beautiful. You have such a unique voice, and we're going to hear it in a moment, that blends kind of a folk, I think that's probably how people describe you, folk, kind of artsy, pop rock. You were named the Maine's Best Act and Best Vocalist 4 times in the Portland Best Music Awards. Congratulations for that.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, I mean, it's so exciting. I know you were not formally trained. When did you know that you had a great voice? And then I want to get to kind of your pivot, but just to kind of, as a scene setter, how did you know that music was for you?
Well, I guess I would go all the way back to when I was in 5th grade, when I started singing in chorus. I got to sing. I guess my teacher must have seen something in me, because I got to sing the song. I think it's Camptown Races or Camptown Ladies.
Oh, sure. It's an all-time favorite when we were in elementary school,
yes.
Right?
That was my first performance. I got to sing that in front of the whole school and like everybody's parents' game. And I think I was in 4th grade, and I knew I was on to good things because I had 4 female backup singers that were in like 7th grade, 2 on each side, and I was wearing a white tuxedo sort of thing. So from that point, I was like, all right, this is what I want to do. But
well, you knew music was a chick magnet, basically.
Exactly. But I think I started playing guitar when I was in high school, when I was 16. And then I kind of decided that's what I wanted to do full time when I was about 21 or so. And I've been doing it ever since.
And you've been, during this COVID time, and I know your wife's a teacher, and so that world got completely disrupted, and you have 2 little kids, and so I'm sure you're managing a whole bunch of things at your home. But you're also, you really have done a great job at paying attention to your craft. And, some people for some people, they kind of walk away from things and just think, well, there's no chance I'm going to be able to perform anytime, so I'll put that on hold. But you didn't do that. So let's talk about kind of your shift. I mean, you're somebody, you opened for the Dave Matthews Band. I mean, you've got some great street cred. And so it must have been really interesting for you to have to drop back and tell me kind of what was your pivot and your shift, and how have you kind of continued during this time?
Yeah, so I think it was, well, I remember I performed out at the Sundance Film Festival back in January, and I remember vividly flying home, and it was kind of like, for me, it was kind of a turning point, because I could see more and more people wearing masks and kind of taking it more seriously. This was like February 1st or 2nd, and then fast forward until mid-March, and then when everything kind of shut down, that first Saturday night, or I think what it was I think it was it was actually Friday the 13th, which is kind of crazy, but
great omen there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember that we had kind of made the decision to kind of postpone or cancel all of our upcoming shows, where we had a run of shows at the end of March into April, like on the East Coast, that we decided to cancel. So I made an announcement on Facebook that we were going to cancel those, and then I just made the offhand comment, maybe I'll do an online concert in the meantime. And everybody was like, oh, well, when's the concert? And then so I said, oh, I'll do it tomorrow night. And that was Saturday, March 14th, I guess. And so I've been doing a weekly concert every Saturday night on my Facebook page. Tomorrow will be it'll be 18 weeks in a row. So every Saturday night.
And you call it the Green Room?
I call it Live from the Green Room. Yes, and it's been amazing. It's just we've kind of built like a nice community of people, and I tell people it's almost like the music is nice, and the music's like complementary to people just being able to have a conversation and talk, and it's been really great.
So let's just take a moment and have you play, one of your newest songs, and this was, maybe give us some background. It was inspired during COVID, right?
Yes. Yeah. So one of the first things I decided to do when the shutdown began is to record an album at home. So I called up the local music shop in Brunswick, and the owner delivered, like that same day, he delivered me a recording setup so I could record at home. And so I'm releasing the album at the end of July, and it's all songs. It's called Songs from the Green Room. And it's all pretty much COVID inspired. So this song is a song called Just Be, and it's kind of a song about just allowing yourself to kind of get through this whole thing and know that it's kind of a temporary thing, although it doesn't really seem like it is at the moment. And so I guess I'll go ahead and play it for you. Well, I held it all inside for way too long. Now I'm splitting at the seams. There's a battle waging on inside of me. Yeah. We walk through winding woods in search of peace. Well, it's growing hard to find on days like these. Who's gonna save me if I can't help myself? Who's gonna spin you on the dance floor? Who's gonna turn off all the lights when you're fast asleep? red-winged blackbird on the power line. As I back down Shipson's Point, well, I had to step away for fear I lost my mind. Who's gonna fix this if we all run out of tape? Who's gonna glue it back together? I could've never dreamt this up when I was young back in Michigan, staying for the summer. So don't lose your life. This is temporary. Dry your sad eyes. Be strong. Be brave. Be here. Be safe. Just be. Just be. Who's gonna save me if I can't help myself? Who's gonna spin you on the dance floor? Who's gonna turn off all the lights when you're fast asleep? So don't lose your life. This is temporary. Dry your sad eyes. Be strong. Be brave. Be here. Be safe. Believe in me. Just be. Just be. Just be. Just be.
Wow, beautiful. Just Be by Pete Kilpatrick. Love it. I love the lyrics. So, I mean, so many messages in that. And I guess I'm wondering, you know, did you write it for your kids, for you and your wife, for the community? Who'd you write that for?
I kind of wrote it for everybody. Yeah, it was kind of just came to me like, I feel like everybody is just kind of wondering what to do or how to feel, and there's just the wide range of emotions. At least that's what I'm feeling, and it's kind of a song about just not asking too much of yourself during times of crisis like this, because it's okay to just be, or just feel whatever you're feeling, and not feel guilty about it, or not feel like you're doing anything wrong, or because we're all kind of living through a time that we've never experienced before. So for me, it was kind of like, am I being a good father, or am I being a good husband, or am I being a good business person, running my music? And so I just felt like I needed to step back and just allow myself to just feel all the emotions, and yeah, and that's okay.
It's okay. And it's very Zen kind of teacher of you, you know.
Yeah, I kind of, maybe I have a future career in psychology or something. No, but yeah.
We've all had to kind of shift in so many different ways. You know, what else have you found that you've been doing differently? You know, do you find that you're composing differently? I mean, that's a beautiful song, but do you feel that has your world kind of opened up musically in a different way because of all this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I watched one of my favorite musicians of all time. His name's Glenn Hansard. He's from Ireland. I'm sure you know of him, but
he's also, if you've seen the movie once, it's a great movie, and Glenn Hansard is in that, and it's a beautiful film. Yeah, please continue, Pete. He's a great guy too, isn't he?
He's amazing, yeah. And I think one of the silver linings of all of this is it's kind of allowed you to see, you know, maybe some of your favorite artists, or at least for me, kind of more personally, and see them doing things that they normally wouldn't do, like performing in their kitchen. Or so he's been doing an Instagram thing where he did one where he talks about songwriting, and it really spoke to me because for a long time I was kind of writing songs, trying to write more from like an outside perspective, and kind of, I thought that would be a way of reaching more people if I make my lyrics more like accessible to a lot of people. But I started, he kind of was talking more about like writing what you feel and what you're experiencing, and the more personal you get, the more of a wide reach it will have to people. So I just tried to be a lot more personal with my writing for this new album, and kind of write things that made me maybe feel a little bit uncomfortable sharing them and stuff like that, and just kind of use that as my framework for my new stuff, and try to make it more personal, so it will resonate with people a little bit better, I think.
It's always a risk, I think, to put yourself out there, and you know, it's almost like naked. You know, you're just kind of like, okay, well, here it all is, and you hope that it touches people. But it reminds me of that saying of politics is local. You know, all politics is local, and I think that is the piece that people want to feel. They need to have their hearts kind of punctured, right, a little bit, because they're at that place that, I mean, we are all sharing this moment, and we're coming at it from so many different places. And so it's really interesting, you know, that you've seen that kind of from the inside out, that you're going to feed to that, which is really nice. What have you been, well, first of all, I believe that James Taylor, I want to ask you about, I mean, who doesn't love James Taylor? You know, sometimes some of your music reminds me of James Taylor a little bit too. There's some songs. But tell us, if you would, share that James Taylor, you know, moment that you had with folks who may not have heard it yet.
Yeah, so at the beginning of June, I decided to do like a socially distanced kind of live from the backyard concert, and I've been hosting concerts at our house in Brunswick. Actually, tonight will be our third one. We're doing one tonight. So we've basically been having like 30 people. I've just been putting it out on social media, and it's people that are kind of fans of the band that will RSVP and come. And the first one, I played a James Taylor song, and it's really fun. We kind of have a fire going, and people it's kind of like a mini Tanglewood, sort of. I mean, I like to coin it like that, but so I played a James Taylor song, and then my friend videotaped the performance, and then he posted it on Instagram. And then he called me like 10 minutes later, and he's like, "You're not going to believe this. James Taylor just reposted it onto his Instagram page, the video of the performance." And I've heard that he's pretty like active on social media. You know, he posts a lot of things, and he gave it a thumbs up.
First kiss, never I took, like a page from a romance book. The sky opened and the earth shook down on Caroline. Took a fall from a windy high, I only knew how to hold on tight. We prayed for love enough to last all night down on Caroline.
I'm covered in chills right now. I mean, I mean, don't you feel like, okay, I've arrived? I mean, you arrived a long time ago, but James Taylor?
I know, I couldn't believe it, because that's like one of my first memories of music is my mom singing James Taylor songs to me when I was little, like when I'm going to bed. So it was kind of like, wow, this has sort of come full circle in such a strange time for everybody to get some praise from James Taylor, the legend. It's pretty amazing.
So when you do these, like tonight's concert outside, and hopefully the rain will hold off.
Yeah, exactly.
So when that happens, is it your whole band that's together, and is it you limit the number of people, like you mentioned, like 30 people, intentionally? So you do the social distancing thing as well?
Yes. So it's basically like whoever I can kind of find to play that night. Tonight it will be the whole band if it holds up, the weather holds up. this is the third one. The second one was the whole band too, and then the first one I just played solo. But yeah, I basically go out and like with stakes and kind of, I'm like a coordinator, but like I'm trying to think of
a wedding planner. No, just kidding. But you're a stickler for spacing people out, it sounds.
Yeah, I basically go around and, you know, put stakes in like 15 feet apart. I kind of, and then people just come and set their chairs up, and it's pretty well thought out, and people seem to enjoy it.
So, Pete, I'm wondering, you know, what kind of communication have you had with other musicians, and what are you hearing from? I mean, we're hearing like nationally and internationally, you see there are a lot of, you know, kind of global artists who have been doing the concerts, but it seems like you started before others did. Like you were at the very front of that, and then it seemed to kind of, then on the Today Show, I'd hear, hey, this person's come up with a great idea. They're doing, and it just seemed like it followed you, I think. Were you a trendsetter on that front, do you think?
I like to think I am, but well, a lot of people said that to me. A lot of my friends were like, oh, well, why is Chris Martin from Coldplay copying you? And I'm like, I don't think Chris Martin's aware of who I am, but it's nice to at least feel like you were a trendsetter, even if you may not be. But it just kind of like was the natural thing for me to think to do, because it was a nice way of reaching people that were, you know, obviously a little bit freaked out and when this whole thing started, and missing like that community aspect and hearing some live music. So it's just like the universal, like the fact that the music is the universal language has never been more apparent to me than it has in the last 4 months, because I've had people tuning in from like the UK, and there's a family from Japan that watches every week, and it's Sunday morning in Japan, but they're all watching they're having breakfast. And I printed up some t-shirts for this Live from the Green Room t-shirts, and I sold 200 of them in like 3 days. First 3 days. And so this family from Japan, they all have the t-shirts on. So it's like, you know, it's just, I never would have thought I'd be playing an online concert series and it would have gone this well. And, you know,
I think that as people are still very, I mean, we've been seeing, you know, I don't want to get into politics and everything, but we have seen some musicians who have been engaging people in huge concert venues. No one's wearing a mask.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy, but seems that most people are being very cautious and following kind of the guidelines of, you know, the chief doctors who are saying, you know, still practice social distancing and masks and all that. This whole thing, you just kind of touched on it, but it's opened up a whole new world. I mean, who knew that we'd be doing this show primarily through Zoom? I mean, when Reggie and I started the Great Reboot, we were doing it in person. We thought we'd be able to do it in person, and then quickly realized, no, this is all has to be happening this way. And you're seeing it everywhere. It's amazing what we can achieve in this way, and yet we still feel like we're connected. We still feel like, you know, we're able to, you know, at least, you know, again, use the word connect, but we're able to do this in a pretty cool way, a pretty, you know, linear way when we thought it was also nonlinear, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So has this changed, do you think, the, you know, aspects of the future of music?
I think so. I think, because I think one of the silver linings is that doing the online concerts, I mean, it's never going to be, you know, a substitute for the in person, because it's a whole different experience. But I feel like one of the silver linings is that people that wouldn't normally see me perform anyway, even if there wasn't a pandemic, get to tune in if they live in a different part of the country, or
Japan.
Japan, or you know, there's a woman from Vermont who has been following us for a long time, but she has like a disease that she's not able to go out even during normal circumstances. So she hasn't been to a live concert in like 4 years. So this was just kind of helpful to her, because she gets to see a band that or a musician she really likes. And I know I wouldn't have normally done this before this, So I think I'll keep it going even when I'm back to performing live. I think I'll probably still do this now and then, just knowing that it's helping out people.
Yeah, what a neat opportunity you have to help improve people's lives, maybe not physically, but emotionally. And as we've learned, mental health is so incredibly important. And we're all seeing that more than ever during COVID, and how important it is to connect, and what a great way to do that, and through how you're doing it. I'm wondering if you can, I want to ask about some of the nice compliments you've been getting, but I'd love for you to play another song. And I want you, it doesn't have to be from COVID, but why don't you play us one of your favorite songs?
Okay.
That speaks to you. And, again, I want to tell the folks who are watching, I'm asking Pete to do this. We're recording this show in the morning. And as you know, sometimes it takes a while for musicians, vocal chops to really warm up. But boy, you'd never know it, Pete. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just going to grab the guitar.
Okay. How many guitars do you have, by the way?
If you ask my wife, she would say too many. No, I have probably 7 guitars sitting downstairs in the green room, which is kind of like it's like a 3-season room, sort of.
And it literally is green for folks who haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Well, I play in a lot of alternate tunings, which so like a lot of my songs that I'll only play one song on the virtual concerts, but that song's in a different tuning on my guitar. So it's like I have all these guitars set up to only play once. So this is a song called Rose. This is also going to be on my new album. So hope you enjoy it. Rose, you're a mess of thorns, I know. You got me walking on a tightrope. I'm so terrified of heights. Fear, she built a home inside my head. She left her enemies for dead. They're all sprawled out on the floor. And Rose, come guide me home. I've been gone too long. My soul is humming. And hope, stand by my side when I'm taking on water, when I'm struggling. Light, yeah, caught me by surprise. A neon truth in a night of lies. Yeah, caught me by surprise. Rose, come guide me home. I've been gone too long. My soul is humming. And hope, stand by my side when I'm taking on water, when I'm struggling. Rose, come guide me home. I've been gone too long. My soul is humming. Hope, stand by my side when I'm taking on water, when I'm struggling. Rose, come guide me home. I've been gone too long. My soul is humming. Hope, stand by my side
I'm taking on water, when I'm struggling.
That was awesome. Beautiful. So, what's the inspiration for Rose?
That is a song about just traveling, playing a lot of shows, and kind of just being homesick in a way. So, yeah, I kind of wrote that because I usually, in a normal year, I play about 125 shows a year. So I kind of wrote that like right before the pandemic, and I was looking at my calendar, and I had like 75 shows booked for this year. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be a long year. So yeah, it's kind of just a song about being homesick. And yeah.
That's got to be the hardest thing about being a musician is you have to be willing to travel because that's where your fan base is. And you need that fan base to help pay you. And yet the very people you love the most, you have to leave behind. That's just got to be the biggest struggle.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, for me, like, I don't really, excuse me, I don't go on like long tours like, you know, a lot of bands, but, you know, I definitely spend a lot of time alone and driving through the back roads. And you kind of have to be very comfortable in your own thoughts to be a musician that travels a lot and be comfortable spending a lot of time with yourself. So.
Well, I'm grateful that COVID has given you an opportunity to reach even more people, your family in Japan, the folks in the UK, and I'm sure even in further places than that. Where can people go? Why don't you give out your web information where people can go and they can find out more about, you know, your concerts and your Live from the Green Room concerts?
Yeah, sure. So my website is just PeteKilpatrickBand.com. But the live shows have been streaming at Facebook.com/PKBand. So it's every Saturday at 8 p.m.
And I have been at some of your concerts, and I just want to give a double thumbs up. They're really fun, and it does allow you to kind of slip away for a little while. It's really fun, and to see the rest of the community that's also part of it. I've seen friends of mine on it, and we're writing quick notes to each other. So it's pretty neat. And I want to thank you so much for sharing yourself, for sharing your own pivot, what you've done. And I want to check back in with you after your album release in July and see how things are going with that. And I just, again, wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. This has been so fun. It's always great to see you, even virtually.